All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, November 27th. We have a 14, not 15, a 14-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video, so buckle up. In today's video, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment for the final plays. That'll be everything that I'm rolling with myself, and it may be a lot today. I mean, 14 games on the slate, so keep an eye on the pinned comment for the final plays. In terms of yesterday, we had a really good day. 3-2 from an X's and checks perspective, or checks and X's, but realistically, that X is only worth 1 unit, right? And the Timberwolves just wasn't the look. I got a little bit of hope when they went to overtime, and they had that fourth quarter, they had the momentum, but ultimately just did not have enough there. But Spurs money line, that cashes. Victor Wembanyama, I think that might have been a first half cash, super juice though, and then Bradley Beal cashes with points alone, so definitely a nice night yesterday. In terms of units, it's like a 3-1 night, but 3-2 from a win-loss perspective. Unfortunately, gotta drop the womp womp on the ride of the day here from Iggy. He had Kevin Durant over 2.5 assists. I will say, it wasn't the official ride of the day because it was too juiced, but he did like Kevin Durant over 7.5 rebounds plus assists, and then the line moved drastically, so we couldn't include it in the ride of the day. But that did cash, so I guess a little shout out there to Iggy. Unofficial shout out though, unfortunately, but he did cash a day ago, so this was a loss. We have to talk about it. We have to drop the womp womp, but shout out to Iggy for a brief streak there. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day or ROTD in the comments. Give me a play. It's got to be inside -150. If it's too juiced, the community can't ride with it and it's thrown out, right? But give me a play in the comments. I jump on board with one person's play each and every week, and then you get a shout out in the next video, win or loss. I also shout you out over on my X. It'll pop up right here throughout the show, as well as the Guy Boston site. And if you win, we continue to ride with your plays. If you lose, we jump on board with someone else the next day, but we do got to talk about it. But yeah, go ahead and drop those hashtag ride of the days in the comments. Guys, big slate today. Like I said, buckle up. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Apologies if we blow through some of these games. If I don't love them, this video would be like 3 hours long if my babbling mouth, whatever the word I'm looking for, were to talk about every one of them at the same extent. So apologies if you're looking for something and we just kind of fly through one of them. But let's jump into game number 1 here. Like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Cleveland taking on Atlanta. Not much interest in the spread in this one. -12 seems fair to me. This is obviously a very good Cleveland team. In Atlanta, I don't know if I'd put in that same boat. They're 6-12 against the spread on the season, whereas Cleveland still undefeated at home and 14-4 against the spread overall. So sure, I like Cleveland. I think this line's moved a little bit. If you can get Cleveland inside 10, I don't mind it, but not necessarily considering it all that much myself. I don't mind an under, though. Both teams like to score in the paint, and both teams, kind of surprisingly so far this year, have been decent at preventing buckets in the paint. So an under might be worth consideration, but where I actually go in this one, and it's probably my favorite spot, we'll see if we make it a final play here, but I'm going to take a peek here at Darius Garland over 2.5 3-pointers made. You can see -120 over on DK. Rest of the books are in the -140, so if you can snag it at that number, I think it's worth it. Atlanta allowing the most threes per game this season to opposing players. Point guards the 4th most, and you can see 9 of 17 games so far this year. At home, he's looked pretty good as well, 6 of 9, and when he hasn't hit it, he's gone 2, 2, and 2, but the attempts are definitely there, 7, 5, and 5, right? So I like Darius Garland to knock in 3 today. He's had an up and down shooting season, but not necessarily at home. So Darius Garland over 2.5 3-pointers made is probably my favorite look in this one, and if I had to imagine a final play, it might be this one. Another play I looked at, and it's something still that I'm considering, but Atlanta plays at such a fast pace, would be kind of off the note of the under, an Atlanta team total under, because the only reason I might not roll with the under is the fact that Cleveland is so good from 3 and Atlanta stinks, like I already mentioned, at covering the 3, but Atlanta doesn't have that little superpower. They like to score in the paint. Cleveland likes to stop the paint buckets, so, you know, obviously if we see Atlanta with no way of getting easy buckets, makes me like their team total under more. So I would say Garland and Atlanta team total under, probably 2 looks in this one. Whew. I feel like I just talked a mile a minute in that one, but you know what? 14 game slate, you gotta love it. We got a lot of content coming out on the channel today, this being one of the pieces. So I am fired up. Apologies if I'm talking fast and seem excited. All right, next up, Indiana taking on Portland. Right now, Indiana double-digit favorites. That total at 231.5. I've actually seen some 232s out there, so by the time this comes out, it might be moving in the opposite direction. Portland coming off of a loss to Memphis a couple nights ago. Indiana coming off of 2 straight wins. Albeit Washington and New Orleans, they didn't cover in either one of those, so obviously there could be some against the spread concerns there, but this is one of those that I don't necessarily love on either side, so we'll probably blow right through it. I would say this is a decent spot for Portland to cover the number. Is it crazy? Yes, but Indiana likes to shoot in the restricted area at the rim and whatnot, and Portland's actually been decent at stopping that so far this year. I've talked about it multiple times, right? And you throw in the fact that DeAndre Ayton should or might be playing. That's going to be huge. Grant might be playing as well. So some of their interior defense should be coming back. So, yeah, I mean, Robert Williams and Klingon, I think, are both ruled out already. So that kind of hurts them down low. But overall, this is still a spot in which I think it's too many points. Do I have the cojones to roll with this myself? I'm not exactly sure to that extent. But Indiana minus 10.5 seems like it's a little bit too much. If this was like a 5.5 point spread, I'd be all over Indiana, right? But the double digit seems like it's too much. I also don't mind, like I said, this total's going up. I actually like the under at this number due to what I just said. Indiana likes to shoot in the paint. Well, guess what? Portland's pretty good at stopping it. Portland likes to shoot in the paint. Indiana hasn't been all that great at stopping it recently, but at the same time, Portland isn't the best offense, right? Like offensively, Portland shoots the most over the last 10 games, at least the most shots per game in the restricted area, right? But they're only shooting 59.1% from the restricted area this season, only averaging the 15th most points from the paint. So they're shooting from the paint a ton. Not exactly scoring a lot from the paint, so I do like the under in this spot as well. And then no player props that I'm eyeing. Oh, real quick, guys, before we do jump into the rest of the plethora of these games, Sleeper has a ton going on right now over on the Sleeper Picks app. They have a 0.5 points for Steph Curry today. They have a Jared Goff square, a Malik Neighbors square, a Jordan Love square for Thanksgiving football. So go ahead and check it out. You're going to obviously get this square. They have a ton of promos coming out as well on the app. That link will be down below. Description, pin comment. It'll also be on the Guy Boston Sports site along with the final plays. So make sure to go ahead and check out Sleeper Picks. It's a DFS app that's available in most states. You combine multiple players into an entry. You pick more or less based on their set projection they get. The more you win, the more you get paid out. It is awesome. They have an amazing deposit match going on as of right now. So go ahead and check out Sleeper Picks, guys. Again, it's available in most states. If you're not on it, I think you'll regret it if you do not check it out this week. Look at all of those deals. Go check out Sleeper. That link will be in the pinned comment. Let's go ahead and jump back into this one. Next up, we got Philadelphia taking on Houston. Philly getting 5 points here, which makes sense. This team has been struggling as of late, right? And Houston coming off of, we talked about it in our only loss yesterday, was Minnesota there. Minnesota gets the L. They take it to overtime, though, so I do think that there's somewhat of a, reason and rationale to say that Philadelphia might keep this game close. But to me, after that game against the Clippers, you can tell that they're just not fully there, right? Now, Joel Embiid already ruled out. Paul George already ruled out. Kyle Lowry out. Martin is questionable. That 5 points, I don't really care about the fact that Houston's on a back-to-back. That 5 points just screams not enough. So give me Houston there. I also don't mind a Philadelphia team total under. This was at 214.5 like we have on the graphic. I've seen it up as high as 216.5 at the time of recording. So this thing's moving around. So maybe wait it out. You're probably going to get a better line for Philadelphia team total under. But their recent games, and some of these Paul George and Embiid have been healthy for, right? 99, 113, 111, 89, 86, 106, 99, 107, 106, 98. Those are the last 10 games. They're not scoring a lot of points, and even if we were to get burned on this, if we made it a final play or something, it's kind of like, yeah, still worth looking at. Like, I wouldn't regret the look, you know what I mean? So looking at Houston as well as a potential Philadelphia team total under. When it comes to what I like in terms of play here, Alpi Sengun is another spot that I'm considering. I think that he actually should be in a decent spot here with the way that Philadelphia has, or I should say the lack thereof of them guarding the rim. We see him have a good game yesterday, but he finished like 22 points. He has 2 straight games now of 22 points, and again, Philadelphia not covering the paint all that well. So yeah, he's on a back-to-back. He played 42 minutes last night. That probably keeps us off of it. But if you don't fear the minutes and anything like that, then I think Alpi Sengun could be a sweet look, honestly. Real quick, guys, I am watching this back as we have it in post, and I am flying, talking a mile a minute. Two things. I already mentioned, I am super, super excited for all the content we have coming out from now and then kind of through the weekend. So I'm just fired up. But secondarily, it is a 14-game slate. Admittedly, I look at that and I'm like, holy crap, we got to get through this. So I already talk fast as it is, and I'm speeding through these. So it does slow down a little bit as we get further and further into the video because I think I realize it. But I just wanted to throw in there that if you're like, holy crap, this dude is on you-know-what, and he's flying, I see it too. So yeah, admittedly, I'm flying a mile a minute, but hopefully you guys don't mind. Hopefully the info and entertainment is still there, but wanted to let you know that I see the lunaticness too. All right, I see it. All right, next game up, we have Orlando taking on Chicago here. Chicago has been really shooting a lot from three and then somewhat from the restricted area. No mid-range, no like sort of deep in the paint or anything like that. So yeah, worth noting that Orlando's incredible at stopping points in the paint and also the #1 team in terms of fewest points allowed against a three. So I don't really see where Chicago scores from. If you want to attack Orlando, maybe you look at mid-range, but Chicago literally just doesn't do that all that much. You know what I mean? So this is probably an Orlando spot for me. Now, when it comes to the spread is 10.5 is a little bit large, obviously, right? But I still think that might be the move. Maybe there's some SGP same game parlay potential in this one because I also like Chicago's team total under / the under itself because this is a really good Orlando defense. I mean, from a defensive perspective, fewest points per game allowed. Now they play at a slow pace, so let me just say that even from a defensive efficiency standpoint, #3 in the league and then #1 at home this year. So I think the defense does show out today. The reason this total is up there at 223, and I think I've seen some 224s out there, is because Chicago plays at a fast pace. So I think the same game parlay look could be potentially like an Orlando money line probably does you no good at 10.5 points. So maybe Orlando like -4.5, -5, that type of thing with a Chicago or a normal game team total or normal under kind of bumped a little bit. You know what I mean? That might be the way to play both because I don't see how Orlando wins this one in like a shootout, you know what I mean? So yeah, give me Orlando and the under, but the way that I would do that is probably combining those in some sort of a parlay and massaging the numbers just a little bit there. All right, Washington taking on the Clips here. Clippers, heavy favorites on the road. It's worth noting that they've been very good at home this year, 7-4 straight up, just 4-4 on the road. But Washington only has 2 wins, right? 2-14. They're not all that great of a team. Sorry, Washington fans, I don't mean to chuckle. Jordan Poole, I believe, is already listed as out. Obviously, Sadiq Bey still out here as well. So you got a team in which the Clippers are more healthy. Norm Powell even might be coming back, which I don't even know if they need him in this spot. Mo Bamba game time decision, that type of thing. So yeah, Clippers probably the look here, but I think the Clippers don't cover this without Ivica Zubac scoring 15 points. This has been something we've cashed. It's definitely juiced now, so I don't mind him at 15.5. In fact, if we jump into the outlier screen here, 14.5. We liked him against Boston. He had one of his best games of the season, right? In fact, I think that was the second highest scoring game of the season. I like him over 14.5 points. If you want a better odds there, -125 on MGM from over 15.5. It's just one more point, right? I also don't mind his points plus rebounds if you can get it right around. I saw it earlier at 27. So 28.5. I don't necessarily mind. Look at how Washington is against the center position this season, right? I like his points a lot more, but obviously you're paying way bigger of a price tag there if you like the 14.5. So that's probably where I'd go with this before anything else. In terms of the total, this could have a blowout implication, right? You have Washington who plays at a fast pace, but their offense is so bad. So I don't really have the biggest of takes on the total here. Maybe a Washington team total under, but I don't even know if we're going to get good value on that. So I'd go Clippers, Zubac to score, right? And then also Washington team total under. There's definitely some same game parlay potential there as well because we've had a lot of success with some same game. But when we feel strongly about how the game goes, it's not all that difficult for us so far this year, knock on wood, right? To be able to say, okay, well, let's lower, for example, in this spot, lower Zubac to like 10 plus, lower the spread of the Clippers to like 5, and then maybe the total down up to whatever to take the under. So that might be a look. I honestly, now that I say that out loud, definitely has a chance of being a same game parlay, in there if we don't just want to roll with Zubac to begin with. But yeah, I like him probably as my main play in this one. All right, Charlotte taking on Miami. This reminds me just because Obviously, yesterday we liked the Bucks, and the Bucks end up winning that one. I didn't roll with it because Giannis didn't play, and luckily, I didn't end up rolling with it, or not luckily, unfortunately, I didn't end up rolling with it because the Bucks end up winning the game outright as 5-point dogs. And shout out to the guy in the comments yesterday was like, "Wow, after today, I'm never riding with you again." It's like we had a positive final play night, and other than Minnesota, which was a final play, like everything we looked at turned to gold yesterday. So I'm not sure what Buddy was looking at. He's probably needs to put his glasses on and maybe his hearing aids in to rewatch that video. But overall, let's jump into this game. Charlotte, 4-point dogs here, taking on Miami. Like I just mentioned, Miami is on a back-to-back. They do lose as favorites to the Bucks. Charlotte, they've had some good games lately. They're 3-1 against the spread over their last 4 games. They've been good at home, 5-4. Now, I said good. Not so good on the road, 1-7, but do we have to worry about that? No, they're at home. So this isn't the easiest. I wouldn't say this is the easiest of spots to just say, hey, oh yeah, Miami, definitely, right? They're on a back-to-back. Miami this year on back-to-backs, though, have covered in 100% of their games. With rest advantage, though, Charlotte has covered in 66.7. So yeah, I think this one, honestly, weirdly enough, can go both ways. I will look at Miami kind of in a bounce-back spot. They're the better team to me. And Charlotte, though they've been playing good basketball, they're still super injured, right? Bridges, Jeffries, Mann, Richards, Williams, all listed as out. So I think if Bridges was playing, even throw him in there, this might be a spot where I'd look at Charlotte. But to me, I just can't necessarily get there as of right now. And then from a player prop perspective, I do think some of these guys that shoot a lot from 3 could have some success against Miami. That's how you beat Miami right now. So yeah, though his line's going to be super high, I don't see the biggest of reasons as to why LaMelo Ball might slow down and whatnot. He has 35, 50, and 44 in his last 3 games. His line's at 32.5. Yes, it's super high. I also don't mind his over 4.5 threes for plus money. You're going to get a lot of attempts. Last 3 games, 14, 17, and 11 attempts from 3. So maybe considering him overall, I think that he should have a decent performance from beyond the arc. But yes, his lines are super high. Rightfully so, he's been going off, so he needs a 33-point night to cash his over. That seems kind of drastic, but the dude's been absolutely killing it. So yeah, I don't mind him. And then I also don't mind an over in this spot. You do have Miami, on a back-to-back. Their defensive edge probably isn't there. And Charlotte, though they've been playing slow, and I lean towards that Charlotte and Magic over a couple nights ago, and they scored like 4 points combined. I do think that their pace should be picking up in a spot in which the way to beat this Miami team is probably to up the pace a little bit, because they definitely have the guys to up the pace. They're just not necessarily playing like that. So I like the over there, 217.5 as well. FYI, guys, we are back to posting on the main channel. For now, until we get some specifics, this type of content will remain on the More Guy Boston Sports channel. But if you do want to check out some of the different type of content that we're posting on the 100,000 subscribed to channel, we just dropped this video yesterday. Took a lot of work. I had a lot of fun doing it. But essentially, I had 4 point guards that I believed were in the same tier. Had you guys vote on it, and then there was a unanimous decision about this young point guard that he didn't belong on that list. So yeah, go check it out. Again, that's on the main Guy Boston Sports channel. It's a little bit more fun and creative and more edited of a video. So go ahead and check it out. Would mean the world if you head over there and comment that you came from the More channel, because yeah, we now have 2 channels. I appreciate you guys for supporting this one, but to some degree trying to reinvigorate that main channel as well. So go ahead and check this out. I think it was a really good video there. So yeah, if you want to show support and be entertained, go check out that video. All right, Dallas is taking on New York. Now, definitely some injury report looking and watching to be done here. Kyrie Irving looks like he's good to go. Grimes game time decision, Klay Thompson game time decision, Derek Lively game time decision. So there is a lot to note here from an injury perspective for Dallas, right? So obviously we want to wait those things out. Dallas, Luka is still out for a little bit. They still have won 5 of their last 6 games, so I give them credit there. But I think this New York team is starting to get things going. They scored 145 points against Denver just a couple nights ago. So 4 points here. I think I have to look at it. If Luka was playing, if we knew Klay Thompson was playing, if we knew this Dallas Mavericks team was healthy, I think I would like the Mavericks. So it kind of gives you a little peek into this dumb brain of like the margin there. It's not like I'm all over the Knicks, but the way the Knicks are playing, the fact that Dallas is injured, I think this could be a decent spot, and you're getting a decent number for the Knicks. Overall, though, this Knicks team probably is going to score from in the paint, so that's obviously worth considering. This Dallas team at the on the perimeter has been very good defensively, so this may be a Karl-Anthony Towns look. He can also score from obviously the perimeter as well, but none of the shooters I expect to have like the best of games, just due to the fact that Dallas has been really good on the perimeter, and Luka isn't exactly like the reason for that. So him being out, I don't necessarily sit there and I'm like, oh my God, how could you? So Dallas, isn't all that great interior-wise. We've seen Karl-Anthony Towns his last 2 games score 25-plus against this Dallas team. So, yeah, I like him to go out there and probably score 25 points or so. He's done that in 8 of 16 games so far this year. On the road, 5 of 10, but he's done it in 4 of his last 6 on the road as well. So, yeah, decent spot. Should be a close game. I don't mind if you want to go down there and get it. I believe you can get decent odds at 23.5 as well, so buying a point down, that's probably where I'd go. But give me the Knicks minus the 3.5, Karl-Anthony Towns, and then from a total perspective, I do think that it's a very, very, very high total, and if I think the Knicks are going to score by 2s a lot more, I think I'm going to lean under. That line's got to be super inflated because of how good offensively Dallas has been, and then the fact that the Knicks scored 145 their last time out, right? So slightly lean towards the under, but Knicks and Cat probably, I would say, my priority is more so than the total. All right, Pelicans taking on the Raptors. You might be looking at this being like, what? The Pelicans are favored in a game? And they are, and I don't mind it. Like, I think I do lean Pelicans today. You should be getting we still have a lot of questionabilities here. Brandon Ingram might play. Trey Murphy might play. DeJounte Murray might play. CJ McCollum looks like he's going to play. So the only big names that you're missing now are going to be Herb Jones and Zion Williamson, right? Which only, obviously, those are 2 big names for the Pelicans, but DeJounte Murray has missed like 17, 18 straight games. This could be a great spot for him to kind of come back, and then even the coach was like, he'll have some restrictions, but nothing specific. That tells me it's like, he's either ready or he's not ready. He's going to play, and then if he's playing well, let's leave him in there. If he feels any sort of discomfort, we'll take him out. So he might not even have a full-blown minutes restriction, and the fact that you're playing Toronto, it seems like it's a kind of good get-right spot, right? They're still without Emmanuel Quickley. Are the Toronto Raptors better since Scotty Barnes has been back? Hell yeah, right? Like, they have covered in 4 of their last 5 games. I give them credit there, but this is going to be a spot in which I believe the world is going to see this Pelicans team and kind of think what I've been thinking about how bad they are and can you believe that they're favored and whatnot. But I really like it. So if those guys play, I'm all over the Pelicans. Probably on the money line, though. It's a cycle thing to say, but it's honestly got a really good chance of being a final play if we get rulings on Ingram and DeJounte Murray. Those are the ones that I'm really looking at here. From a total perspective, I do know that this Toronto team has the ability to play fast. We saw that early on in the year, but they've been playing super, super slow as of late. But that said, even though I like the Pelicans, Toronto likes to score inside and shoot inside. The further and further you get away from the hoop, the less they shoot. This Pelicans team, with getting back Ingram, getting back DeJounte Murray, CJ McCollum now, none of that changes the fact that they can't stop a nosebleed at the rim. So I think I'm going to lean towards the over in this one. Both teams have slow pace, but DeJounte Murray, if he comes back in Ingram, Pelicans should have a better offense, right? In Toronto, we've seen them play fast plenty of times this year, and they should get some easy buckets to some degree in this spot. So, yeah, I like the Pelicans as well as, honestly, maybe just as much the over there. Detroit and Memphis, this is admittedly one of the ones that I don't have much, I don't have much of a thought on. Obviously, the Pelicans. The Memphis Grizzlies should be a lot better as Ja Morant comes back, but he's now ruled out of this game. So, and Cade Cunningham is doubtful in this game. Tobias Harris questionable. So, not much that I'm loving in this one. I would say if Cade Cunningham plays, and obviously Ja doesn't, Detroit plus the 9. If Cade doesn't, Tobias Harris doesn't, Ja Morant doesn't, probably still consider Memphis. But overall, this isn't going to be a final play either way. That total at 226, those injuries totally in my brain matter. If Ja Morant plays, I like the over. If he doesn't, I probably end up liking the under, regardless of who's playing for Pistons. So yeah, unfortunately, we're blowing through this one. Hopefully you guys don't mind. If you do have something specific that you like in this one, don't let anything I just said talk you off, because I don't think we're looking at this for final plays anyways. Like, throughout the day, I'm not going to spend that much time diving into this game with all these games on the board. Hopefully that makes sense. I know we're going to get some comments being like, then why talk about it? Because I like sports. Sue me. And that's the format of the show. We've done it for years. Minnesota and Sacramento, 2 teams that literally Literally, if I were to only take Minnesota and Sacramento this year, we would be so far in the red. I don't know where to come out on this one. I think Minnesota is the better and more consistent team, but now they're on a back-to-back. No DeMar DeRozan for Sacramento, so I think that that's massive. Give me Minnesota, even though they are on the back-to-back. Do I love it? No. Minnesota's kind of stunk on back-to-backs as well. Where I'd probably go with this one is a potential look at the over. I don't think either team is going to be firing on all cylinders when it comes to defense. And one thing I will say is Minnesota shoots the 7th most over the last 10 games, the 7th most threes per game, and coincidentally enough, on the season, they've scored the 7th most threes from deep. This is a team that is, I guess, just behind the Hawks in Sacramento in terms of points allowed from three. So probably a look there. So I like the over probably more than anything. And then no major player props. Again, it's these two teams I clearly have not had the best read on so far this year, in which I thought I had a good read on the Kings early on, but overall probably just an over spot. I think we have a good number here due to the fact that Minnesota's on a back-to-back, but a lot of the times you say, oh well, they're not going to run and whatnot. A lot of the times that just means that their defense is going to be kind of lackluster, right? And we've seen Sacramento play good defense at times, bad defense at times. OKC just dropped 30 on them with no Chet Holmgren, so yeah, give me the over 221.5. That's probably the only thing I look at. I think this number, if you wait it out, it's going to get better and better because I've seen some 220s, and that's a pretty big difference in just the last hour or two. So, yeah, I'll wait this one out and potentially look at an over. And honestly, I do like the over, but I just have not had a read on these teams, and I'm admitting that. All right, Spurs taking on the Lake Show here. Both teams are on a back-to-back. Spurs, we cashed yesterday, taking that win against Utah. That was a good game. Not often am I going to watch Utah and San Antonio play and be like, oh, that was pretty good. And they've played 3 times, and that one yesterday was a good one. Lakers, Phoenix, another one that I liked, and I almost pulled trigger on Phoenix, but we just rolled with a full unit on Bradley Beal. That cash, so I'm not upset about it. Here in this spot, you have the Spurs as +3 at home. That total at 228. This Spurs team, in terms of how they defend, is at the rim, and that's where the Lakers like to score. So this is going to be a tough spot to get to the Lakers for me, especially given the fact that they're on a back-to-back. And maybe it's just kind of my brain, but the Lakers are such a team where it's like they're on a back-to-back. Anthony Davis and LeBron are old, and I kind of get in that mindset, right? So I think I look at the Spurs here, but potentially more or less a full game under. Both teams have been playing, at a decent pace and whatnot. I get that. The Lakers defense isn't all that great, but on a back-to-back year, I think San Antonio can make it difficult for the Lakers. And then from, San Antonio perspective, where the Lakers really struggle is defending the rim as well. But San Antonio, restricted area attempts over the last 10 games, 5th fewest in the league, 2nd fewest points in the, shots in the paint, and on the season, the 5th fewest points in the paint. So San Antonio is not going to try and score in the paint against the Lakers defense, right? So if they do try and take it to the 3-point line, I'm not saying the Lakers are great from out there, but they're a heck of a lot better outside than they are inside defensively. So yeah, maybe an under 228 here in this spot is probably going to be the look. And then I guess from a player prop perspective, you could consider anyone that likes to shoot in the paint, for this San Antonio team. Who that would be if Wembanyama's line is going to be high and he's on a back-to-back. You could look at maybe Keldon Johnson. His line's probably going to be around 10.5 points. That might be something that I consider. Keldon Johnson has hit over, I think he's had at least 11 points in 4 or 5 straight games against the Lakers. So maybe I'd look at that, but are the minutes going to be there, with a healthy-ish Spurs team? He played 19 minutes last night. Maybe he's got the fresh legs. That's a consideration. He even scored 10 points last night in 19 minutes. So, he'll try and score. Maybe that's the look, but give me the under in Johnson, in terms of leans here. Spurs as well, but I think I like the under more. All right, Utah taking on Denver. Utah getting beat by the Spurs last night. Denver should be fairly healthy, still without Aaron Gordon, obviously there. We already talked about it, right? With the Knicks, Denver ended up getting smacked, 145. They still scored 118, so I give them credit there, but 145 points against is ridiculous. Denver should bounce back in a big way. I think they slow things down as well, so 9.5 points, 9 points. I don't mind it. I still think I'd look at Denver, but I'm going to actually take a peek at maybe Utah team total under as well as the full game under. I do think Denver kind of shows up defensively in this one. Even though they haven't been all that great defensively this season, I think that this could be a spot for them to play some defense. Last time they played, Utah only scored 103. That was at the beginning of this month, though. So that's probably the look there. As we know, Utah really, really bad from 3 defensively. That's why we liked Victor Wembanyama yesterday. So from a player prop perspective, perspective, I'd consider something like Jamal Murray from 3, even if he plays. I don't know if he's going to, but Peyton Watson leads the team over the last 10 games in terms of 3-point attempts from the corner. So if he plays, it's not something that I'm totally against, right? For his 3 right now, all he has to do is hit 1. He's hit that in 9 of his last 10. He didn't hit it last game. Last time he played Utah, he did not hit it, but he only shot the ball, I think it was like 1 time. So he's not going to get many attempts, but for him to just hit 1 3, I'm not exactly like against it. I think I would still look at obviously Jamal Murray more than anything, because you know the quantity should be able to be there. So Jamal Murray here, we can jump into the outlier screen and look at this real time. 2.5. You can see he's only done it 3 times out of his last 10, 4 times on the season, but head to head he's gone 6 and 4 against him. Last time he wasn't in that game, but last time he played Utah, so not this season, he did have 4 attempts there. In terms of his attempts so far in the year, they've been there in games, they haven't been there in games, so it's like kind of up and down. But for him to hit 3 against a really bad perimeter defense for the odds we're getting at -110 seem like it's something worth considering. So I'd probably go, Murray and then Watson in terms of those 3-point props if I had to prioritize them. Even though Murray's been a little bit less consistent, he has more volume, right? Like Watson's hit 9 of his last 10. He's at least 1 3, but some games he's only going 1 for 1. And I'm like, if he misses that 1, he might not get another chance. All right, guys, if you made it this far into the video, this will be a big test because we are at the 30-minute mark. So go ahead and comment 30 down below if you made it this far into the video. That would be impressive. And honestly, a little pat on the back here. Your boy that likes to ramble and blab and whatnot and go on rants, we're through 12 games, right? And only at 30 minutes, that's pretty damn good. Sometimes we have like an 8-game slate and we have a 32-minute video. So, hey, I know some people like the rants and whatnot, but I take it as a win. All those people that are like, get to the picks and stop talking. Hey, I feel like I'm rising to the occasion here today, like 2 minutes per pick. But anyways, let's jump back into it before we start to blab and rant and whatnot. But comment 30 if you made it this far into the video. Next up, we have Phoenix taking on Brooklyn. Phoenix with a big win yesterday. They have not been very good on back-to-back so far this year, just covering in a third of their opportunities. Some injuries to note. No Cam Thomas. I believe we should see Schroeder back. Ben Simmons should be back. Cam Johnson game time decision, and Dorian Finney-Smith game time decision. So without Cam Thomas, that's going to be a tough spot to obviously like Brooklyn, but 8.5 points is a big number. The one thing I'll say, and I mentioned it why we ended up liking Phoenix yesterday, is this team's way better at home, and they showed it against the Lakers yesterday, right? So, yeah, it's probably a spot in which I guess the back-to-back spot, like only Devin Booker and I believe it was Tyus Jones, I want to say, played 30-plus minutes yesterday. Durant, 29, Beal, 27. So even though they've been kind of hobbled and whatnot, they should still have some legs under them. Give me Phoenix in this spot. What I will say is I don't mind Phoenix's team total over. This isn't the best defensive team in terms of what we have from Brooklyn, and where Phoenix struggles offensively to score in the paint. Well, lo and behold, Brooklyn isn't a very good paint defense as of late, especially with some of the injuries they've had. So the weakness for Phoenix offensively, they should have an easier time doing it. And then Brooklyn's kind of a middling team. Last 3 games are actually bad, but middling team this season in terms of points allowed from 3. Phoenix likes to shoot the 3, and they've been scoring from 3. So yeah, give me Phoenix. Maybe their team total over. Not necessarily the full game over. I don't want to trust Brooklyn to score points without Cam Thomas necessarily. So yeah, Phoenix and their team total over is probably all I'd look at here. No player props either, because again, I think those minutes could be dodgy given the fact they're on a back-to-back. I trust that they'll get run, but it's still a back-to-back. All right, out of all these games, this is definitely one of the games to look at tonight. We have OKC and the Warriors playing. No Caruso, no Chet Holmgren, and then obviously Jalen Williams, the one that has been out. He's still out, okay? Golden State, Steph Curry is listed as questionable. So is Jonathan Kuminga. So that's obviously worth noting, but I think this is most likely, if Steph plays, a nice little Golden State spot. I think that they should win the rebounding battle. They should win in the paint battle in terms of offense. Both teams are very good at stopping each other scoring from the paint. Golden State, though, is going to be the shooting team that I trust, obviously, right? With Steph and company included. So, yeah, if you're on the Thunder in this one, I really do not mean to talk you off of this whatsoever. We faded the Suns a couple nights ago, and it bit us, the Thunder a couple nights ago, and it bit us in the you-know-what, you know what I mean? in the butt, not the other you know what. And Golden State coming off of 2 straight losses, San Antonio, Brooklyn, they're kind of due to bounce back. They're now at home. I think it's a decent spot. So OKC has obviously been a very good team, but they've been super strong on the at home this year. Still also on the road, but I don't know. Like I'm saying, I'm not trying to talk you off of OKC. I think there's multiple facets of this game that Golden State should be able to win. Now, what I will say, and I get caught up doing this a lot. If you guys watch every day, you know I fall victim to this plenty. But in these big premier game of the night type spots, I do like unders. And we end up fading the offenses and backing the defenses, and then it's like 130 to 120. I think this could be an under spot. Both teams significantly 2 of the best teams in the league at preventing points in the paint. Really 2 good perimeter defenses as well. Are the offenses great? Yes, but I do think the defenses should rise above here. The pace of play could be up, but not if they're not making their shots. Both teams decent transition defenses, so I might be crazy, but give me the under in this spot as well. And guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's show. Like I said, I think we made pretty good time. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Day before Thanksgiving, I know, some people like to go out and do a lot of stuff, so be safe, obviously be responsible, and same thing with these plays. Like, only roll with stuff that you love today. You have a 14-game slate. Don't look at that and say, we got to up our numbers. We got to get those numbers up, right? No. Be smart. You can still be conservative with a big slate, but man, oh man, is it not appetizing to see 14 games on the NBA slate. But that's all I have for you guys today. We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.